So welcome to our race briefing for the 2020 Cape Town Cycle Tour. I've got the director of the Cape Town Cycle Tour, Dave Bellairs, with us, and we've got a lot to get through today, so we're not going to dilly-dally around like some of us do at the start line of the Cape Town Cycle Tour, but we're going to get to some of the important questions that you've asked online with us, and also get to some of the stuff that you need to do on race day. The first thing we're going to talk about is the coronavirus. Of course, it's the big thing that everybody's talking about. And we can just give the riders out there some assurance about where we are.
So I think what we're going to do, we're going to correct Mike first. It's a ride, not a race.
It's a ride. It's a ride, not a race. Quite right.
Okay, Mike. Yeah, great to be here again. So yes, let's deal with the big issue that a lot of people are talking about, and that is the situation surrounding coronavirus. So we have put up a statement on our website. We are dealing very closely with our medical team at Mediclinic, who are working together with the Provincial Department of Health and the National Department of Health, in association with the World Health Organization and the National Institute for Communicable Diseases, and we're taking guidance from them, and we will be led by all of those parties as to the direction that we take. There are plans in place for the day and obviously at the Expo, so if anybody presents with any symptoms, there is a full protocol that's in place to deal with those. So we know that the NICD, the National Institute for Communicable Diseases, has actually put out a statement that they are happy with the current measures that the South African government have in place at ports of entry, dealing with people coming into the country. And I think testimony to that is that South Africa currently is still sitting with no confirmed cases of coronavirus. So we're cautiously optimistic.
So the second big thing we want to talk about is obviously a video doing the rounds where there are some threats of disruption on the route, on the race route. Just where does the cycle tour stand on that?
So we're aware of those. We are in contact with the various different authorities around that particular video that has surfaced, and we're engaging with the community that is involved. And once again, we're absolutely confident that good sense will prevail on the day. And that we will see the event run its 109-kilometre route. So we are liaising with all the necessary authorities and making sure the plans are put in place.
Great. So let's get to the race, not the race, the ride.
Ha-ha.
Just make very clear about that. The reason why we call it a ride and not a race is?
Because it's a whole lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. And there's only got, I think, 0.1% of the people actually racing this thing. Most of the people are just enjoying themselves.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing for us, Mike. This is an event that is doing so much good in South Africa. It's raising huge amounts of money that's getting put back into community projects, social upliftment. It really is very special. And we want people to go out and enjoy it. You're riding around one of the most pristine coastlines in the world. And through a national park. So take your time and enjoy it. Go out, smell the roses, stop at the water points, and get your money's worth. There's lots of Powerade, lots of Coke that's going to be out there, and some wonderful martial arts folk that are going to be at all those various water stations. So take photographs, social media yourself all the way to the hilt, and enjoy the ride.
Don't forget, you can hashtag us at CT Cycle Tour. So if you put those videos and those photographs up, we will obviously put together a bit of a video at the end of the cycle tour and show your highlights from the race day itself. So don't forget to hashtag on CT Cycle Tour. So let's start with the actual race day. So there's a very interesting, not interesting, but an early challenge awaits. We're going to play a video very shortly just to explain where it is. But it is where, just after the start, as you go onto the highway, onto the Nelson Mandela Boulevard, there is a little bit of a pinch point there people need to know about.
So for the old hands, the folks that have ridden this event a couple of times and would have started at the old start, the on-ramp up onto Nelson Mandela Boulevard at the old start was nearly 2.5 lanes wide. The challenge we have at the new start is the on-ramp there narrows down to 1 lane. We are working very closely with the city and looking at how we can overcome this challenge moving forward, and we're hopeful that by 2021 we would have come up with a significant change to that on-ramp, but let's hold thumbs for that. So I think what riders need to be aware of is as you head up onto Eastern Boulevard, and it'll be demonstrated in this video, there's a narrowing from about 1.5 lanes to almost 2 lanes. It'll narrow down to 1 lane just as you get up onto the freeway. We've worked with the city, and you'll notice that the lip that runs along on your right-hand side will have been tarred over with a gradual slope of tar. That will allow riders to actually ramp up gently over and onto the freeway as soon as possible. So I think the word we want to put out there is caution. We don't want you stopping. So be aware that the bunch is going to bunch up and it's going to slow down. So don't go barreling down Newmarket Street onto that on-ramp up onto the freeway, because it is going to slow down. Just be aware of it. Keep riding, keep moving, and within a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds, you're going to be on the freeway with 3 or 4 lanes to yourself.
And go mad. Okay, let's show us that video.
We're standing here at the start of the Cape Town Cycle Tour. In fact, we're about 200 meters down the road on the Newmarket Street on-ramp onto Nelson Mandela Boulevard. This is going to be the first challenge of the day, and we're asking people to exercise extreme caution as you head out on the start of your 109-kilometer journey. The road heading up onto the boulevard will narrow significantly as you get onto the level portion of the Nelson Mandela Freeway. And we're asking the bunches, especially in the early part of the event, to make sure that they exercise caution as they head up onto the freeway. It will narrow as you head up, and it will slow because you're on an incline. So watch out for the bunching and make sure that you don't stop. About 250 meters from the start of the cycle tour, the Newmarket Street off-ramp bears up left onto the Nelson Mandela Freeway. Watch out for this. It's a gentle and gradual climb up onto the freeway, but narrows significantly as you get up. You'll peel off to the left, gentle curve to the right, and then you'll get a left turn back straight up onto the freeway at the narrowest portion of the on-ramp. We will arrange for some tar at the very narrow section to be laid across a rumble strip, which you will find on your right-hand side, which will allow you to spill over onto the freeway as soon as is absolutely necessary and viable. So watch out for that on the morning of the event.
So that's what Dave and I did on Saturday morning, just showing people exactly where that little pinch point comes. And as Dave has just said, it's just about being very cautious there. You will lose very little time, probably less than a minute, even if you're one of the back bunches, and just take it really easy up there because we want to make sure everybody has a very safe ride. And once you're on the highway, as Dave has said, it'll be very much plain sailing and some wide open roads you can go mad on.
I think the key is not to stop.
No.
We need people to keep moving, and that way we can flow them onto the freeway as soon as possible. The minute somebody gets off the bike, the entire bunch is then forced to stop, and everybody gets off, and we'll end up holding up the start. And it just, you really don't want to start your cycle tour walking onto the freeway, do you? So,
exactly.
So just some patience and some caution, and you'll be well on your way.
So let's talk about the Expo. Of course, the Expo is a big part of the Cape Town Cycle Tour. That opens at 9:30 on Thursday morning, Expo and registration. Just tell, for those of you who've never been to registration and been to an Expo, just tell people what they can expect at the Expo and over those 3 days.
So the cycle tour is all about experience, and experiencing this incredible atmosphere that we're trying to lay on for you during the week. And key to that is the experience that you're going to have at the Expo. You'll enter the Cape Town Stadium, the iconic Cape Town Stadium. You'll walk around the side of the field, which is absolutely wonderful. If you've never been inside the stadium, it is a fantastic place to be. You'll then enter into the underground area of the Cape Town Stadium, and you will be in the registration of the Cape Town Cycle Tour. There you'll collect your race number, your goodie bag, and you'll proceed through our charity lane, where a lot of the charities that are participating in the event will have their stands, and be displaying what they're up to, exposing them their organizations to our riders. And then you're into our souvenir retail area. We encourage you to buy your souvenirs there. We've got some wonderful merchandise on sale this year. And from there you move into the Expo General, and some fantastic Expo. It's a sold-out Expo again this year. Very proud of the way Eddie Cassar's put this together. Lots of goods, lots of different organizations, from clothing to food supplements to general retail. It's all going to be there.
It's quite amazing because when you go into that Expo, the way it's sort of done, you kind of think, I must have missed something. So you end up going back and kind of looking at it again. So it's kind of a little bit of a rabbit warren of things, but you always think, well, I've seen everything, and then suddenly you go through again, you've seen something else. So it's like this little treasure trove of interesting cycling stuff. It's
funny, we often get comments from our upcountry riders that they spend more time at the Expo than they do actually riding the cycle tour.
Bike. And not very advisable.
No, but it's what we want. Again, it is all about that experience, and we really are. We're very pleased with the way the Expo has played out, and the Cape Town Stadium works for us because you're going to be in the precinct that you're finishing on the event on Sunday.
So 2 things you need to watch out for in the next couple of days. There's going to be a rider brief which will be sent to all of the riders on their email. If you don't get it, there will be a link on our social media and also on our website taking people through the day. We can't go through every single part of that rider brief, but what do you think the most important things that people need to remember for race day?
I think it's making sure you're prepared. So get everything for the bike ready the night before. So you need to make sure your timing chip is on. And I know we've said it's not a race, it's a ride, and the timing chip's a very important piece of equipment that you're going to be having with you. And it's not about timing you, because we want to know how fast you're going, but it's about knowing where you are. And we're then able to manage exactly what's happening on the day. We know how many people are at what point around the route, and we can manage our resources accordingly. And to be perfectly honest with you, when your wife or husband phones up at the end to say you haven't finished, we can quite confidently say that you've crossed the finish line and probably having a beer in the beer tent. Yeah, exactly. Then, of course, your helmet. Make sure that's on the bike and ready to go.
No helmet, no ride.
Yeah, absolutely. Very strict on that.
Yeah.
Make sure that your the number plate on the front of your bike is attached, and probably get your bike into the car. Always good to have your race number pinned on your jersey the night before.
Yeah.
Don't wait till the morning. That's the last thing you want to be worrying about. And you don't want to get halfway down to the start to discover you've left all of that at home.
I've been caught out a couple of times in this, but when you look at your start time, how far in advance do you think you need to be there before your start time?
So
it's comfortable.
Yeah, I'm one of these overcautious people.
Yeah,
you don't want to be under pressure. Remember, there are going to be a lot of people coming into the centre of town. You need to get your car parked, or if you're riding it on your bike, which is probably advisable if you stay in the vicinity. I would say you should be aiming at least an hour to an hour and 15 minutes to be there before. That gives you a comfortable time to get into the start precinct and then load it into your start chute. We will have coffee available in the area, so you will be able to get some kind of sustenance.
You can't have a cycle race without coffee anyway, can you?
Absolutely,
it's not legal.
So it just makes the whole experience that much more pleasant. The new layout, there's a slightly new layout to the layout we had last year, and we believe that's going to make your approach to the actual start line a lot easier. It's a lot shorter, so you won't be having to do these big loops before you head down onto the start line.
I mean, it is a spectacular start, isn't it? I mean, those of you who've seen the social media over the last year with the backdrop of Table Mountain, it's a wonderful photograph, just that start.
I think the guys that are starting is between sort of 7:15 and 8 o'clock. If you turn around as you head down to the start and look at the sun breaking on Table Mountain, City Hall, where Nelson Mandela greeted South Africans after his release from prison, it really is a stunning backdrop.
Yeah,
we're very privileged to live in a wonderful city.
I hate to say this because it's criticising the previous start, but I think this start now is probably about 1,000 times better in many ways, just from a purely picturesque point of view.
I think it works in many respects. Being able to have everybody in one concentrated area and getting into their start chutes creates for a much more relaxed. We found that riders on the start are a lot more relaxed than they've been in previous years, and that's important. Again, it comes back to enhancing that experience.
So outside of the course, you've got a number of things you can take advantage of. You've obviously got the Mediclinic facility. I think they've got 13 points around the course. They're able to do things like sugar tests and blood pressure and pulse. So if you're worried about anything medically on the course, but you've also got the technical zones. So what's in the technical zones? What can riders get there?
I think let's talk through all the aspects of those water points. From a medical perspective, it is very important that if you are feeling ill in any way whatsoever, present yourself to a medical station.
Yeah.
We've got a comprehensive medical plan in place, and we want to make sure that nobody gets into trouble on the day. So if you're in any doubt as to how you're feeling and you're worried, stop at any one of the water stations. There's qualified personnel that will be able to take care of you, look after you, and give you the necessary treatment. In the various technical zones, we will be dealing, and we're going to be putting those videos up over the next day or two, and that'll deal with the various aspects of the event. For instance, the first descent heading down Hospital Bend is an area that we want people to exercise some caution on. By way of example, the bunches head down Hospital Bend at high speed. Everybody's extremely pleased to get through that bottom corner. They slow up, and then the guys behind start to bunch in, and the entire bunch goes wide. So have a look at those technical videos. They'll give you a really good insight, especially if you're a first-time rider. It'll give you some really good insight as to how to manage your ride through a variety of the different areas that you're going to be going, those technical zones. The other thing is keep yourself hydrated. Don't overhydrate. One hopes that you've been training, and that you know what you should be hydrating on. But there are those water stations that will have Coke and Powerade and water available to you all the way around the route. And I encourage people to actually take their time, as I said earlier on in this broadcast. You are on a particularly spectacular route, and we believe the weather's going to play along nicely this year, he says, hoping. And take the opportunity to get some photographs and enjoy. There will be massage facilities at each of those water stations, so if you're getting into trouble towards the latter half of the event, stop in and get those legs rubbed.
Yeah. We are sitting just outside the Cape Town Cycle Tour offices today, and it is a beautiful day in Cape Town for those of you who are up country and are coming down for the cycle. So we hope it's going to be similar conditions on Sunday. It is hot, So suntan lotion is going to be key. Make sure you put the suntan lotion. It's amazing how easy you forget that, because you wake up early in the morning, you think, well, it's not light, you don't think about suntan lotion, but put that suntan lotion on, because if you're riding more than 4 hours, you're going to need it.
And put it in your back pocket, because you're going to be needing to reapply at some point during the event.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about weather, because weather is taboo in any of these conversations. We
Only
are
know that
monitoring.
on Saturday.
We'll talk about the weather on Monday. So we are monitoring the weather. There is a link up on our website to the SA Weather Services, and they've been very kind to ensure that we have a link that will update you regularly on what's happening. And if there's anything untoward, we will be sure to come back to the participants and let them know.
Anything on the route that you want to add to that? I mean, there's no official pushes up Sekebusi yet, are there?
No, there are.
And there's been requests for those.
No, and there are. Our friends at Virgin Active have been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And they will be on Sekebusi.
Probably the best vibe of all the water points. They're amazing up there.
It's absolutely. We
the
call
Virgin
them the
Active
Virgin
Angels.
Yeah, the Virgin Active Angels, and they're there to give you that little bit of help when you really, really need it. Watch out for our friends from Heart FM on the route. They're going to have their little activation on the Blue Route as you head out. Been fantastic partners for us, and that's going to be a really vibey zone. And in that respect, what we're doing is we're encouraging the residents of Cape Town, once again, to come out and support the event as they have done in the past. There's something very special about this, and the residents of Cape Town actually get it, which is fantastic. I mean, if you've been through the event before, through Hart Bay, Cork Bay, Muizenberg area, where we have these impromptu bands that come out in people's garages and people with loudspeakers. So if you're not busy on the day and you're watching this and you're not riding, or your family are around, make sure they get out on the route and give support to some of those riders that are out there toiling away and raising huge amounts of money for charity.
I know we did an interview with Nick Limini, the pro rider, and he was saying he loves it going through that area, through Muizenberg and that area, because that's where all his friends and family sit.
That's right.
So he always makes sure in the front of the bunch as he goes through there, because that's where he gets the biggest cheer. So get out there and support. If you're not riding, support, because it's lovely to see everybody on the course, and it's a great opportunity to maybe ride next year. Who knows? Yeah,
absolutely. And the other thing is to support local businesses. So there's some wonderful coffee shops that will be opening up early. Get out there, support them, and help us make this event the special event that it is. Yeah.
Also, in the next couple of days, in fact, by lunchtime tomorrow, you should have a Digimag up on our website, which will be a full magazine all about some of the logistics involved, but also inspiration around the event as well, and some information that you would normally get in your race packs. We're putting it online because we don't want to be sitting there printing hundreds of magazines. It's not good for the environment, but it's a chance to download it. You can download it and print it out and put it in your handbag or your back pocket or whatever it is, or keep it on your iPad. So it's an opportunity to know all about the race, and it's just a handy bit.
It's a great complement to the rider's brief, so it just gives you a little bit more insight. And I think the important thing is, and you've touched on it, so many magazines get sent back to us with our postal service that we have here, and it's criminal that we've been producing vast amounts of magazines that just simply haven't been getting to their destination. So we've decided to go the digital route. We have a very digitally orientated market. And we really hope that you'll enjoy the wonderful magazine that we've put together.
So watch out for the link on our digital media and our social media and our website. There'll be all sorts of information about that, probably by lunchtime tomorrow. Live streaming on the event, that's been going for a couple of years now. Where can people find out about that?
So our website will have a link on the morning. Now that will only go live on the morning. So you won't be able to go and click on it the day before or 2 days before. You'll be able to go to the Cape Town Cycle Tour website, and that will have a link that will take you to the live broadcast, which starts at 6 a.m. in the morning and will run through to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's been phenomenal. We came off television some years ago, and we're extremely nervous as to how it was going to play out. But the traction we've had on live streaming has just been phenomenal, and the team that put it together, hugely experienced at outdoor events, sporting events especially. So spread the love, spread the word, let your family and friends know that we're going to be filming, and the nice part about it is that you're able to go on after the event as a participant and actually see the race again, because that's all recorded and saved, and you can go and view it.
How many hours is it? 6 o'clock to 3 o'clock?
14
hours? It's a long time to scroll through, but it is. I actually did that last year, watching some of the events and watching the live streams, so an opportunity to look back. Just on the emergency side of things, obviously we talked a little bit about if you have any kind of emergency whatsoever, the number is on the board and on your race number. We suggest that you actually put the number in your phone, not necessarily just keep it on your back pocket.
That's a very good idea. You tend to find when you get into a panic situation that you've forgotten that the race number is actually, the emergency number is actually sitting on your race number. So look at your race number, you will see the number there, possibly save it into your phone. And just a couple of tips around that. If you phone in a medical emergency, you need to be able to impart certain information to the medical team so that they can react in a manner befitting the incident that you're at. The other important thing is if you call in an incident, please try and stay on site for that incident, especially if it's yourself. There's nothing worse than sending a medical team out to assist somebody who suddenly decided they're feeling better and got on their bicycles and headed off around the route, because we then end up looking for somebody who's supposed to be in trouble. Or if that is the case, get the message back that you have decided to carry on riding.
So just looking ahead to the week, I mean, it's been an amazing turnout of riders as usual, biggest time cycling event in the world. It's looking like the conditions are going to be reasonably good, as we can only make that call Friday, Saturday, once we know the actual weather conditions. But it looks like this year there seems to be much more vibe around the spectators on the route. There seems to be much more activations, and Heart FM getting involved as well. I'm suspecting that this year might be one of the best years in terms of en route vibe.
So we're hoping that's the case. We've certainly been making a big appeal to our local communities to come out and support the event, and it does make it very special for the participants. They talk about the spectators that actually carry them through this event, and that's what it's about. So if you can get over to Hart Bay, and it's very easy to get over Constantianek and onto Suikerbossie, lots of parking down in Hart Bay. It's a wonderful place to see, I want to say, the pain and suffering, the enjoyment of the cyclists that are heading up, the drama. They're very much the drama. And give them that last bit of help as they head over Suikerbossie and off towards the finish. And then, of course, you can get down, of course, to the finish in Greenpoint and watch. We've got stands on the finish line. You're able to get into those stands and watch folk as they finish down in Greenpoint. Just a quick note around the medical team, a special note to all folk to make sure if they're in any doubt before the event around their health and any health concerns, that they should be consulting their physicians before they go down to the start on Sunday morning. Just make sure you're in tip-top shape.
I know our race Dr. Darren Green, we did a video with him a couple of weeks ago talking about those symptoms that you should be very aware of if you are suffering from any kind of flu symptoms. If you're on antibiotics, don't ride and don't take a chance. It's always next year, and we want everybody to be on the course and starting and finishing, so be safe out there. Just a final question to you. What's your favourite part of the route? I know you don't get to ride it very often because you're working on the day, but if you had to pick one part of the route that you absolutely love, what's your favourite part?
That's nasty. I wasn't prepared for
I know
that
you
question.
That's why I'm asking it.
Mike, it has to be Chapman's Peak. It's in the early years of riding it, I used to ride hard, not fast, as hard as I could.
No, you were good.
And I never got to see it. And in the latter part of the events that I rode, Chapman's Peak really is very special. And I'm even living in Cape Town and riding it on weekends, it is particularly pleasant to ride over Chapman's Peak with those views down into Hart Bay, looking across at Suikerbossie. And then I suppose followed on from that is having summited Suikerbossie, the ride down Victoria Road through to Camps Bay is sublime. It really is sublime. And even if there's a moderate wind blowing, you're not going to feel it on that side, because you're suddenly out of the southeaster and you're heading to the finish line. It really is very special on that side of the mountain.
The glory kilometres. I'm just going to look at a couple of questions. I know that a couple of people have been asking questions on our website. I'm just going to get through to that. I know our team are sending us some of the pictures. What is the dress? I didn't realise. What is the dress-up code for the cycle tour?
The dress-up code, fun.
Fun. There we go.
Okay, this is all about fun. Yes, there are those guys at the front that are going to be racing and pushing it and going for their sub-3s and sub-4s. But for the rest of it, it's get on there and have fun. I mean, last year we had a couple of friends of mine that were riding dressed up in witches' outfits with broomsticks on the back. We had a man in a banana outfit. It's the atmosphere amongst the riders from the middle to the back of the event is just phenomenal. I mean, it's a whole bunch of like-minded people out there enjoying the day and doing fantastic work. Again, I stress, this is not a commercial event. This is an event that's putting huge amounts of money back into the community. And spare a thought for those marshals that you pass at the side of the road. Those are all volunteers. Those are Rotary folk that have come out from 4 o'clock in the morning. They've been out there, and they will be there until the last rider goes past them and then head off home. And they're doing that purely for the love of the event and putting money back into community. So give them a thank you as you go past. The same goes for our traffic officers and the folk that are making this happen. So really a big shout out to an incredible team of people that go out of their way to make this experience what it is. So spare a thought for them as you're riding around the Cape Peninsula.
Well, it's all for us to say best of luck for all of you riding on Sunday. From Dave and I, we look forward to seeing everybody at the finishing line. But most of all, have a safe ride, look after yourselves and look after each other.